guys, Free here. Welcome to today's video. On this channel, I make videos around technology tips, career advice and inspiration, helping you elevate your career, earn more money so you can live a better life. Today, we're going to be talking about a very interesting and fascinating concept in technology, something that's affecting our reality. And it's this whole idea of deepfake. What exactly is deepfake? Why are we seeing it today? And more importantly, why should you care? All right, so this is an article from the Popular Mechanics. They write a lot of very interesting article, and it talks about this whole rise of the deepfakes. Okay, so deepfakes are amazing, and they're also terrifying for our future. So what exactly is it, and why are we seeing this today? Now, before we talk about deepfakes in the context of this article, and by the way, I'm going to leave a link to this article in the description below. So if you want to go ahead and read this for yourself, certainly check in the description below. You can go ahead and read this article. I really recommend it. You know, on this channel, we've been talking a lot about AI. We've been talking a lot about machine learning. And this is one of the realities of what we've been talking about, right? This whole idea of deepfakes. Now, before we talk about deepfakes, let's step back a little bit and talk about what it means for something to be real, what it means for something to be believable. Okay, we kind of have to go down through memory lane. And what does that mean? Let's go back into the time of cavemen, right? Into the time of, maybe somebody, 2,000 years ago was just a hunter-gatherer, or maybe living in some ancient civilization, and they wanted to tell a story. They wanted to convey an information. So they went out maybe hunting, okay? And they came back, and they talked of the story of how they hunted, an animal, maybe a zebra or an antelope. And the only way they can convey that information was by word of mouth, right? Orally. They can come and say, well, in the woods, we saw this zebra or this antelope, and we ran after it and shot it, and it was so amazing, and they brought it back, and based on what people hear, they believed it, okay? That was a certain time in history. Now, fast forward maybe a couple of decades, a couple of years, a couple of 100 years forward, we had the advent of writing and the advent of drawing. So if information wanted to be conveyed, not only do you have to speak about it orally, or if somebody wrote about it and wrote it down, then that was safe. So instead of you just talking about what you saw or what you experienced, you can go ahead and write it down, and that was more true. So if there was a doubt in the society, let's say, somebody was walking down the main street and a building was on fire. So instead of them just talking about the fact that they saw a building on fire, they can maybe calm down and write it, or they could, go ahead and draw a picture of it. And that was more real than someone just talking about it. And the beauty of writing it down or drawing it down is because even if the person who experienced it wasn't there, that information can still be conveyed. Okay, so writing and drawing and pictures was a great way of conveying truth. A lot of books we read today, we're not talking to who wrote the book, right? We're not listening to who wrote the book. The only way we get that information is because we can read what they wrote and we believe it that they wrote it, and that's what we're conveying. That's what we're getting. Now, fast forward a couple of years again forward, beyond just writing and drawing. Okay, we had the pictures, right? We had photography, which was even more true. So if you go back to the scenario of the event in the market happening, if you're going down the main street in your local town and you saw a building on fire and you had to convey that story to the news or to the masses, instead of you just saying, well, there was a building on fire over there, if you had a picture of it, and that picture could be plastered on every news media or on websites or articles or on print, that was more believable. Because when people can say it, then they believe it. A lot of the events of the last century or decades was because people took pictures. Think about some of the major events. The thing that comes to mind were the pictures that were taken, okay, of those things, and people saw them on the newspaper, and it evoked certain emotions or certain reactions and changed the world as we know it in certain ways. Okay, whether we're talking about migrants, or we're talking about some war that was going somewhere and people saw pictures from it, or we're talking about protests and people saw pictures from it. and that led into changes in the society. Now, pictures were more real than you just talking, right? Because if I could see a picture, how can you argue against the picture? At least that was the thought of what people had. How can you argue if you see a picture? How can you really argue against that picture? Now, fast forward again a couple of decades, then we had software like Photoshop, like GIMP, just basic photo editor. Somebody in their basement with very minimal skills can doctor up any picture they want, right? And it will look more real than even the real picture. And so then that line between real and fake began to blur. So it's not anything new. When we hear about deepfakes today, I'm going to come to it, but this is not something new. We've been kind of building to this point. So we are in the position today where if somebody shows me a picture, okay, prior to this current times we live in, I could believe the picture, but now it's kind of hard to believe a picture, right? Who knows if it's real or it's fake? Who knows? Sometimes Photoshop pictures are more real than the real ones. Okay, so we cannot just rely on pictures themselves as a source of truth, the way people used to rely on before. Now, fast forward from pictures, right? We kind of already have been dealing with pictures as of recent, but there was videos, which was a little bit immune to that, because if I take a picture and I know that, well, somebody can Photoshop the picture. You can Photoshop a picture and add somebody, change the face of somebody, make them look slimmer, make them look fatter, make them look more different than they are. You can do that with pictures, but we just could not do it with videos because videos was a little bit different, right? Videos was more real. So if there was an event and I saw a picture of it, and for some reason I don't believe that picture, but if there was a video and you saw that this person A was in this video at this time, how can you argue against it, right? If that was in court, right, that could be really good evidence that this person did that. You just could not argue against video. You can argue all you want against pictures, but videos, how could you argue against videos? All right, so that was the reality that we had. Until now, and that's why this is so powerful. What we're seeing here, this whole idea of deepfakes, right? This is why this is so powerful. Let me zoom in here for a second. That's why this is so powerful, because technology is catching up. We're getting to the point where you can take a video, and using AI, using machine learning, and using some advanced computation, you can replace, change, augment, remove, add whatever you want into a video, and it might look even more real than the original video. Okay, so what we used to see as the gold standard for truth is kind of falling flat in its face, which is inevitable. Okay, just like the way when people started writing, we saw that writing could be doctored. When people started taking pictures, we saw that pictures could be doctored. When we went to videos, we see that videos could be doctored. What comes after this, I have no idea. Okay, how do we know what's real or what's fake? You're watching an event unfold in front of your eyes. Well, it's a video, and someone is there speaking, maybe President Barack Obama or somebody is speaking in that video, and you will say, well, isn't that President Barack Obama really speaking? And his gestures and his mannerism, it's all like him, and his word, his lips are all coming out the same. But guess what? It's not really him. Okay, it's somebody has made that up and it's doctored up, and it's really a challenge. And there are big implications for this. Just think about society where you're working in your neighborhood. Everybody has security cameras, okay, that would, if somebody's gonna break into your house, your security camera could pick them up. And the whole idea for that is you can take it and use it as evidence in court to say, hey, John Smith, you are the one that came to my house and stole so and so. And if John Smith says, no, I did not, prove it to me. Well, you go to your security camera and you take the tape and you show it, and we can clearly see John Smith walking with his clothes, his face, his guide and everything into your house, and he takes something, okay? We can clearly see it on that video. But guess what? You go to court, it might just get tossed out. Why? Because who knows? Maybe some deepfake has been doctored to set him up, and he really wasn't him, and now we can't really believe what we see. Okay, we're getting to the point where we cannot believe what we see. Somebody might be having a scandal, an affair, and they're cheating. They send a private investigator, they go out and they take videos or pictures or whatever of him, and you bring it and says, we saw you were at this person's house, and you guys were doing something that wasn't right, and the person says, nope, that's not me, that was all fake. Okay, and how do you argue against that? That's the question, that's the challenge that society will face it. And this is why things like this are very fascinating to me. I love AI a lot. I love, technology and all of that. But then the implications from a society perspective are things that we should be aware of. How are you thinking about AI for your personal self? How are you thinking about AI for your company? How are you thinking about AI for your family? These are all great implications. When somebody can literally, not just make a picture with you in there, but make a video with you potentially in there and your face and everything, guys, that's scary. So this article talks about it, and I thought instead of just reading the entire article, I'll give you guys a good background, and hopefully you can see where we've been coming from and where this seems to be going. So DeepFakes on the technology side uses a lot of GANs, so generative adversarial networks, and some very interesting articles. I'm not going to go ahead and read all of that, but takeaway is it's dangerous. It has big implications for security, for just what is true. Okay, so this is a picture of Nancy Pelosi, who's a speaker, the most powerful political figure, female in the U.S. Because she's a speaker of the House, and you can see a video here. I'm not gonna watch the video where it seems like she's talking, but she's not. Imagine being able to use this for mass deception. Okay, imagine being able to use this, for campaigns that are not necessarily good. Okay, that is a challenge. That is very, very scary. Okay, you have situations where people's faces are being replaced. Actors are being. It could be good. Let me put it that way. It could be good for acting. All right, because you can make one person act and you just take another person's face and replace it there, and you can make a movie with cheap budget. So if you don't want Tom Cruise to come act your entire movie, right, if all you care about is Tom Cruise's face and you just pay for his face, you can get a cheaper actor, acts as if it's Tom Cruise. You take a picture, a video of it, and at the end you just switch the face and replace it with Tom Cruise, and it seems like Tom Cruise was acting that movie, and you do it on a lower budget. So things like that could, some people could see that as a benefit, but again, it could be very terrifying if not used for the right idea. All right, this is a video that seems like President Barack Obama was talking, but it wasn't him. All right, I'm not gonna go ahead and play this video, but check it out for yourself, guys. It wasn't him. Think about using this for propaganda. All right, you have a group of people that don't want the best interest for your country, for your nation, for your organization. They make a video like this, and people believe what President Obama is saying, or what a popular figure is saying, and that video comes out because it's a video and it's supposed to be more real. They believe it, and that is a big vector for propaganda. Huge. So guys, go ahead and check this article. It's something to be thinking about. We talk about technology tips, career advice, and inspiration. These are things to be thinking about. Thinking about how do they affect you, thinking about how do they affect your companies, and just being well familiar with it. I know there's a lot of some neat technology that goes into it. I might make a video to show you some tools or some platforms that people use to make this deepfakes. But again, just have an idea about it. If you haven't thought about it, just have an idea and start thinking what will be the impact of all of these deepfakes for you, the good, the bad, and maybe the ugly. All right, guys, so that's our video for today, talking about deepfakes. Hopefully you now have a little bit of an idea. It's coming a lot in the space of AI, and the future is potentially going to change. Well, it probably already has changed because of this, and who knows where this is gonna go. All right, guys, so thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us today. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Again, we make videos around technology tips, career advice, and inspiration, helping you elevate your career, earn more money, so you can live a better life. Again, thanks for watching. This has been Thru. I'll see you in the next presentation.